Coach, will you talk a little bit about prep for Ohio, especially knowing that they've been beat up a little bit by injuries? How does that affect how you guys prepare for them?
Oh, I think you need to keep going, doing the things that you're doing. Hey, that's a good football team. Even with the injuries, just like us, no one cares about our guys being hurt. They're still throwing numbers out at us. They are very good against the run. They stop the run very well with their defense, and their offense is very good at running the football, which is the key aspects to winning a football games. They're coached by Frank Solich. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, almost a Hall of Fame coach. This guy he's legit. He's very good at what he does, and he's been very good for a very, very long time. So they're going to be well coached. They've been wounded, probably didn't play their best game the last time they're out. It's a homecoming game with their homecoming opponent, and I'm sure they're going to be ready in all aspects to give us all that we can handle. And we need to make sure that we take care of our business so it ends up the way that we would like it to end up at when the game is over.
Coach, you talked about their rush offense. Taylor talked about how the defense has a pride in stopping the run. Can you just talk a little bit about that matchup?
They're good running the football, and that's what they want to do. We have no problem throwing the ball. They want to run the football. And for us to win the game, we need to stop the run. So it's going to be them wanting to do something and us trying to stop it. And I don't think they're going to change much, and I know we're not going to. So it's definitely one of the keys to the football game.
Do you talk about the opportunity this team has, going on the road to Athens to beat Ohio on the road, kind of keep things going in the East before you have a game the following week against a West opponent?
I think again, it gives us an opportunity to go win on the road. You can tell by the first and the last couple of games that we've had that every game's going to be close. You look around the conference and the scores of different games against different opponents and preseason what they're supposed to be and how things are ending up. It's just very, very hard to win a college football game. And we expect a very physical game in Athens, and hopefully we can do the things that we need to do to give us an opportunity to win that game at the end. But we expect a very physical, close game up there.
Coach, you said that you're not going to change much, but I mean, you won by one last week, then gave up 42 points the week before. Why do you feel like you don't have to change much? I mean, it feels like you guys are playing that, not helter-skelter, but it's cardiac kids kind of to the end.
I think the biggest thing is when I say we don't change much, we need to be better at what we do. When you look at things, there were some changes early in the season, but when you look at the things recently, it's not a matter of schematically, it's getting a player to do something better. And I think you need to continue to work the techniques and the fundamentals. We're only halfway through the season, 6 games deep. Hopefully, if we play the next 6 games better than we played the last 6, we'll get an opportunity to play a 13th or a 14th. But you have to continue to grow, especially with the injuries and with young guys going in there that haven't had the reps that they had during two-a-days, that necessarily may not even have been with us in spring ball. Those guys have to keep getting pictures and reps and techniques and fundamentals to make 1 or 2 less mistakes during the game that can have a big outcome on that 1-point win or having a double-digit win, so to speak, based off of what they do on the same plays that they had an opportunity to do right.
So is it more about guys that on that chart needing more experience than rather than maybe not grasping or understanding? Because I don't know, is the scheme maybe complex where they're still trying to learn it for what you guys are putting in play, or is it more just them needing game experience?
Well, like we broke down this morning. Well, I did. I broke down last week's game. First half, the quarterback went 10 for 11 against us. Out of those 11 passes, 1 was over 10 yards. 1. And he had almost 86 yards on the other passes. And you look at the other passes, they were 5-yard passes where a guy was standing right there and he misses a tackle and it goes for 12. Or a 5-yard pass where a guy makes a mistake and it goes for 20. And as a coach, it's our job to make sure that we put those guys in position to make plays. Now, once we put them in positions, then we need to make sure that they have an opportunity to make that play. That's either based off of athletic ability or maybe their eyes not being in the right situations in the right plays. So I feel like we're in the right defenses, we're making the right calls, we're doing the right things. We just need to get better performance out of certain individuals in certain situations. And I think we will. When you look at our third quarter, and what we did to that offense in the third quarter, and what we did to them in the fourth quarter, and then what we did to them on the very last drive when they're sitting on our 45-yard line. They only have to go 15 yards to have an opportunity to win the game. And after 3 plays, they've lost 2 yards, and they're operating on a 4th and 12. That's huge. That's huge. That's twice in 2 weeks that our defense has done something on the football field that has a direct reflect on whether we win or lose the football game. So there's no doubt in my mind they're getting better. We just need to see more of it and sooner so that maybe we can get away from some people. I'm sorry that the games are cardiac. I'm sorry that they go down to the end. I really wish they wouldn't. But the most important thing is make sure that we find a way that we can get a win. And I think our kids have done a great job of fighting to the very end. And we'll see what we can do about having people go home earlier. We'll try.
Coach Solich on his coaches show this past week talked primarily about your offense and the reputation you have in the MAC, about being able to score a lot of points, put a lot of yards, move up and down the field. Didn't really address what the defense has accomplished this year. Do you think your defense is in a position now where you can maybe sneak up on some people, not getting the respect that they deserve?
I think our defense is probably getting the respect that it deserves right now. And I think our defense understands that they can be so much better. And everybody's working hard at that. Coaches, players, everybody's busting their tails on the football field. And I'm excited about what's coming next. I mean, they're writing their story. As I was speaking to them the other day, I said, this book's not over yet. We're still in the middle of chapters, and you're writing your story. And it's going to end. But how this story ends depends on how we play and the things that we do from here on out. And it's a very interesting, I can't speak right now. It's a very interesting read, and it can end very cool. But we've got to go out and we got to still do some things. And I'm looking forward to seeing our defense go against Ohio University, because I know that those guys are well coached. And I know they're tough, and I know they're physical, and I know no matter what we do, they're going to still try to run the football. And it'll be a great test for our defense.
Gabe talked in the post game after the win last week about halftime. They sat down and they really had to make a decision that they wanted to be better, to make a stop. How much of the success in the second half was them deciding they wanted to be better?
I think there were some changes made on the defensive side, but the interesting thing is that we went in at halftime. Normally I go with the coaches. I went straight to the players. I brought all the players up. I said, I want, no orange juice, no Gatorade. Come here, I want to talk. Let's talk about some things. And I think they get it. You know what I mean? It's about being passionate about something, passionate about your children, passionate about your family, being passionate about what you put, the things you do at work and the things you do at home. And you've got to make sure you're playing the game the right way, and you're putting the right effort into it. And I think that those guys went out the second half and they made sure that they were putting passionate work out there on the football field in front of the fans. And I think it was very evident by what happened to the other team's offense and to the other team's defense.
I know excuses or injuries aren't an excuse, and you alluded to them earlier, though. But how much realistically has that affected, some of the execution you're talking about?
Well, it's a lot. There's different guys in different places. You got Gabe Martin playing Mike linebacker. He's never played it there in his life, and in 6 to 8 games he'll be done here. Yet he's never lined up in that position in his life. You got other guys like that are playing positions they've never played before, and then you got other guys playing a position they've played all their life, but they played it in high school. And this is college football. So, I mean, that stuff matters. But once again, you have to look at it, when it's their first start, it matters. When it's their second start, it matters. Right now, we're starting to get into some start 3, start 4, these guys have been on the field a little bit. So they need to start getting better. They've seen the pictures. Their reps are increasing. They need to start getting better at what they do.
I guess along those same lines, Matt Johnson, is there any word on surgery or not surgery?
I haven't got any information on MJ at all, and that part of it is personal between his family, whether they want to do or not do the surgery, and he has not spoken to me yet. you know, on what he wants to do. I wouldn't tell you, but he really hasn't told me what he wants to do yet personally at all. So I still think they're seeing specialists and all that kind of stuff to decide what's the best way to go.
Is there a deadline where you kind of need to make that decision in order to be ready for next year, or is it?
I don't have a medical degree. I mean, I don't mean that in a rude way. I really don't know. If they're telling him not to have surgery, I'm sure that he's going to be ready for spring ball. If he needs to have the surgery, I'm sure he's going to be ready for spring ball. He needs to be ready for spring ball. So I'm sure that's in his plans, but he hasn't told me which way him and his family's decided they want to go yet.
Coach, could you talk a little bit about Tyler Tate? I mean, he's been MAC Special Teams Player of the Week 3 times already this year. Having said that, there's been some extra point misses of different varieties. I mean, how would you rate how he has done so far this year?
I think he's done really well. I think that you know, there's been some misses, but when you're grading his paper, if I'm a teacher and I'm grading his paper, it's an A. So now we're going to get mad because it wasn't an A+, it's an A. You know, that's 4. He's going to get a 4.0. So I think that he's done exceptionally well. I think he's an NFL kicker. I've always said that, and we're lucky to have him. I'd much rather play with him than against him.
Is there concern, especially when you're playing these close games, that the extra point that gets blocked here or there ends up kind of coming back to bite you?
Sure, there's concerns, but so far, so good, so to speak. I mean, I can't knock him for those things. We've asked that young man to do some things now. He's kicked a lot of field goals in a lot of different venues, win, against the wind, and he's drilling those things straight through. You look at the Buffalo kicker, he had an opportunity to kick a field goal with the wind, and, you know, wide right. You know, we put our guy in that situation. He drills every last one of them except a long one that was really my fault. You know, I look at that last miss as my fault. When I look at it again, and I look at where that wind was blowing and how it swirled down there and what hash he was on, and now after the 5-yard penalty, and I went back and I said that was the one mistake I made in the game. I really should not have kicked that field goal. So, I mean, so I don't even consider that a miss. That one's on me.
While we're watching this game, Coach, either in stands or on television, is there any one thing that we should be, if we need to control? What's the key to winning this game, other than having one more point than they do at the end of the game? Is there anything?
I'm not going to use that every week. Come on. No, you know, seriously, here's the key to the game, and this is going to sound blah. Whoever runs the ball the best is going to win. Whoever stops the run is going to have the best chance to win without turning the football over. That's the key. And that's football. If they can run the football and we can't, that's not good for us. If we can run the football and they can't, that's not good for them. And then you can win the turnover battle, there's a very good chance that you're going to win the football game.
Anything else, guys? All right, thank you.